Welcome to Acorn to Oak with Penny Quaile-Pearce and co-host Matthew Donachie. Within each acorn, there is the DNA that strives to be a mighty oak tree. All it needs to reach its potential for greatness is to be activated. You are the acorn. On this show, we will share with you the tools and guidance you need to grow into the person you are meant to be. And now your host, Penny Quaile-Pearce and co-host Matthew Donachie.
He's not here so far. Hi, good evening. Hi, it's Penny. I'm not too sure whether Matthew will be joining us tonight or not. The reason being he's in the middle of moving house, so he may be struggling upstairs with a bed as I speak, or he could well be joining us. Whichever happens, I know he would love to say to you, Happy Halloween. And it's really interesting that we're talking about the laws of higher frequency this evening, and I was just outside and the church bells in the village that we're staying in at the moment were ringing, desperately ringing, obviously to ward off any evil spirits. So it's interesting that the first law that we're kicking off with is the law of frequency. But I just wanted to remind you what we're actually talking about tonight. We're talking about spiritual laws, and we're bringing to conclusion this is the fourth one that we've been talking about spiritual laws, because they are in depth. And it's time for a change, and the truth is divine discontentment is entering the hearts of, people. And the mass consciousness on earth is changing at such a rapid rate at the moment that we're no longer satisfied with the need and greed. We want a better way of living. And to achieve this, we're asked to learn the rules and work together to clean up our game. We're preparing for promotion to a higher league. Collectively, we're in the process of moving to a higher dimension, and old habits and unresolved issues are surfacing so that they can be examined and released so that we can find a new way of being. Social structures are beginning to collapse. Monarchies, parliaments, big business, banks, and all dinosaur institutes are moving towards change or extinction. Many people now have, through hard work and cooperation and discipline, have reached the top league. They're playing in the cup final, the final, with the eyes of the world on them, providing inspiration for all. So when you reach this level, you do not worry about those who are disregarding the rules. You are here to be an example of how the game can be played. And when you follow spiritual laws, we are able to reach enlightenment. And we experience the feeling of oneness and live in love and compassion and trust. We can become masters ourselves, following our own guidance and not allowing ourselves to be deflected by anybody else. Our greatest joy is to serve humanity and the universe. So the laws of higher frequency include the law of frequency or vibration, the law of miracles, the law of healing, the law of purification, the law of perspective, the law of gratitude, the law of blessing, the law of decree, the law of faith, and the law of grace, and the law of one. So just wanted to state that and put it in context about what we're covering and what we're talking about and discussing this evening. So as I was saying, the first law is the law of frequency or vibration. And, when we look at, and we have in the past on on this show talked about heavy or gross vibration. One of the biggest emotions that can drop our vibration to a low level is fear, which of course is false evidence appearing real. And if you if we look at fear and we look at it and we realise it is false evidence appearing real, and we get back to the centre of ourselves, we bring in more calmness and peace and love. And that enables us to basically to raise the vibration up of fear, so that we're looking at working at a totally different level or a totally different frequency. And when we look at vibration and frequency, I always go back to talking about, when we put water in a kettle and we switch on the energy, we change the vibration of the water by introducing the energy, and therefore it starts to boil, and out of the spout comes steam, which is a totally different thing to water, because the molecules are moving at such a speed, it changes its state. Therefore, it's changing its frequency and its vibration. If you then, if that kettle was underneath a kitchen cabinet, and it hit a cold surface and started to cool, it drops its vibration again, and we get condensation on the kitchen cabinet. And if you put a tray under the condensation and it drips into a tray, you pick up that tray and you move it and put it into the freezer, it drops its vibration or frequency again and turns into a solid. So the same thing, the same water, H2O, in 3 different states, as a liquid, as a gas, and as a solid. And this is just showing you that, the frequency or the vibration of that water changes with the degree of energy it encompasses. So it's really important to realise that all emotions, energy in motion, can be changed when you're actually using an energetic technique to help change its state. And one of the most important things, I think, when dealing with the vibration of fear is actually realising that, having a healthy sense of humour about yourself and about the situation that you're in. And at Acorn to Woke, we call this a pattern interrupt. And you do a pattern interrupt, which may be something like laughter yoga, dancing around the room, singing, or just changing that stuck energy, which is what drops its frequency or drops the vibration, and you raise it back up. You can have a profound change. And so for me, the law of frequency and vibration is always looking at where are you at, where is your vibration. And if we lack self-worth, or we do a lot of negative self-talk, then our vibration is going to be lower than if we're thinking more compassionately, more loving thoughts, more high vibrational thoughts. And it's just looking at it and going, this is really quite interesting. And it can happen, and the whole point about this is that, when we look at angry people, they're not high vibrational, or the emotional state of anger is not high vibrational. And it's important to look at it and just go, okay, so what old beliefs do I need to release? And, if you're in a relationship and you're learning to relate to others harmoniously and with integrity, it's also important to look at what is actually going on around that, because You know, the law of frequency and vibration is all about not getting stuck in whatever emotional state you're in at the time. So I just wanted to talk about that. Obviously, I haven't heard that Matthew is turned up, so I'm going to carry on. And the next law that I would like to talk about is the law of miracles. And the law of miracles, I think, goes hand in hand with this. When something happens which is not normally explainable by physical laws, we turn to spiritual laws. You know, again, on Earth, we are living in a heavy vibration, which is subject to the law of karma, which we discussed last week. Occasionally, something happens which allows us to slip through the gap into the divine energy, and something, literally, it feels like something miraculous is happening. It may well be that you're driving to work and you haven't got a parking space, or it feels like everybody just gets out of your way that morning, and you just think, whoa, that's something really quite amazing. And you realise that, you know, everything is in the flow and it's going your way. And this is literally when we think we've slipped through the gap into divine energy. And divine energy frequently dissolves and transmutes lower energy, and miracles appear to happen. And don't get me wrong, when I say miracles appear to happen, I mean they really do happen. And as worldwide consciousness rises more and more people are realizing that they are divine beings and spiritual beings in a bodysuit, they suddenly realize that actually they can actually be in the flow with the divine. And I think one of the unique insights into this, or should I say, maybe it's just a little bit of a mind hack or a universe hack, is, you know, when you are in grace, when you can genuinely forgive and love unconditionally, that's when miracles happen. And that's what allows you to be in the flow with life rather than railing against it. And it's really quite incredible when you have some of those moments. And I'm sure everybody who's listening can actually think of one or two of those incidences themselves. And, you know, it's quite amazing. I remember a case that I was dealing with when I was working with an elderly type person, or should I say lady. And, you know, the only thing that she wanted for Christmas was a phone call from her son, but she'd not heard from him for about 5 years. And she was constantly thinking of him, but not wanting to bug him or be an issue or boring him or being a bother or anything else. And I gave her a little bit of an exercise to do where she forgave herself for not actually being pushy and not actually demanding his attention. And she did that, and lo and behold, who found her on Christmas morning? And it was wonderful to hear that feedback from her later on that year, that in fact that conversation at Christmas led to her beginning to have more phone calls from him and feeling like she could call him on occasions without having to sit and wait, which I must admit is a thing that I think is prevalent in the elder generation. I know my own mother at the age of 96 would not actually pick up the phone and phone me. She would wait for me to phone her. And actually beginning to change your behaviour around different aspects is what allows miracles to happen. It's what allows the divine to be able to step in and change your reality around any given thing. So I think it's when people stop the miracles happening because they just, again, it may be feelings of poor self-worth, or it's never going to happen to me. Something always happens to stop something going on which is high vibrational. And again, that also moves through quite easily and swiftly into the law of healing. Everything is energy, and this is one of the things that we forget. But with energy, your physical bodysuit is the energy of your consciousness. And obviously, it's not just your consciousness for this lifetime, as we were talking last week about reincarnation. If each soul had only one life on Earth, it would manifest, the amount of work that needed to be done in one lifetime would be insurmountable, and we would never actually have much time for joy and happiness, and which is really important in this lifetime. So, it's really important to remember that your body has built over various different lifetimes, and you may have a family history, or should I say it may be in the genes of your soul that you have a predisposition towards some sort of physical ailment. It may be diabetes, or it may be heart disease, or it may be whatever it is. It's not just your familiar history. It's also your soul history, which is going to bring unresolved issues from past lives and maybe be a problem in this lifetime to you, depending on whether you buy into the need to experience that or not. So, one of the two basic emotions, as you've heard us talk about before, one is fear and the other is love. If you choose love, you can pretty much heal the fear. If you take it seriously, if you decide to do the inner work that needs to be done in order to move on. And it's when you resist your chosen experiences through fear that you create blocks in your mental, emotional and spiritual bodies, which then will eventually cause physical disease. It's one of those things that we forget, is that inflexible, crystallized beliefs and mental attitudes cause huge amounts of tension within the physical body. And if you hold an organ in tension long enough, there's going to be something that physically manifests through it. Denial and suppression of emotions sit within the physical body until they are expressed as a physical illness or a physical dis-ease. And it may well be that there is, when you refuse to acknowledge the spiritual self and how magnificent you are, and cut yourself off from the divine energy which naturally flows through you, if you allow it, your physical body will wither. And then ill health will be caused by that stuck energy. And when you are happy and flowing with love, every cell of your body responds to that vibration by being happy. Very much the body is like a river of energy which flows until it silts up. Love is the highest vibration energy which will keep your body clear and flowing. All manifestations of fear, such as unexpressed grief and hurt and anger and jealousy, are low vibrational, and it's like silt, and it blocks the flow of the river. So it's, it sounds like we're going into a break any second now. So I would like to continue talking about this as we come back from the break. But it's very much around realizing that if you allow the flow of healing energy to flow through you, it's one of the basic laws of the universe that you ask for.
Your conscious connection to a more mindful world. OMTimes Radio, IOM FM. OMTimes Magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. OMTimes, co-creating a more conscious lifestyle.
I'm Kathy Williams, host of Sexy Mom Abundant Life radio show on Thursdays at 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific. On the show, we explore living abundantly in every area of your life. Ways to let go of limiting patterns and beliefs and to step into the flow of creativity and possibility, knowing you are supported by the universe.
We are talking about your life. Ever wonder, is this as good as it gets? No, it could be so much better. At Acorn to Oak, we know you are seeking more happiness, joy, unconditional love, financial freedom, passion, and purpose. Find your unique mojo and live an extraordinary life. Want to know more? Contact us at our website, acorntooak.org.uk.
1 in 3 adults has prediabetes. 1 in 3. That means it could be you, your football buddy, your football buddy, or you, your best man, your worst man, you, your dog walker, your cat jogger. While 1 in 3 adults has prediabetes, with early diagnosis, prediabetes can be reversed. Take the risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its prediabetes awareness partners.
So we were talking about the power of healing, and healing is obviously a very high vibrational or high frequency. And, it's really important to realize that, if you listen to your intuition, and if you come across somebody who's had an accident or somebody who has been injured, don't hesitate. Just send them good intentions, and healing energy will flow through you automatically if it's right, as long as you have the right intention. Healing takes place when, basically you have the intention of healing yourself or healing somebody else, because the high vibration consumes lower vibrational stuff. And it's just basically, as we know, the power of prayer. If you have, you're praying for somebody, you are automatically sending spiritual healing, whether you know it or not. And when a person dedicates themselves to healing, they attune themselves to the divine through personal practice or a personal development, right living. You also can heal yourself and begin, and you can get no better healing than that. When you take responsibility for your own health, then you are basically, you're taking the initiative to actually begin to have those healing thoughts. And there's some great examples of incredible healings when people have been diagnosed with terminal cancer or really quite gross pathology when they start to realise that, yes, they can get help from outside, but that's not personalised to themselves or personalised to their own vibrations. So the best person to heal you is yourself. And therefore, having that intention and having that commitment to self to do everything and anything that you can in order to raise your own vibration. Because, you know, even the best healers in the world, and I hate that term, by the way, healers, because again, for me, it's about people taking responsibility for their own health, their own happiness, their own joy, and realizing that sometimes that mental switch we need to turn in order to look at the lighter things of life rather than always thinking of the negative aspects of life. And it's really important to realize that when we take that type of responsibility, then everything, the universe and everything is going to come in behind us to help us raise our own vibration. And when we do that, that's when miracles happen. And as I was saying about, you know, the terminal cases, when people decide to take responsibility, they're dealing with a disease process. And one of the quickest ways to dissolve low vibration is to increase the high vibration around them. And again, this is when I was introduced to things like laughter yoga, because again, the body doesn't know when we use something like laughter yoga that the laughter is fake at the beginning until we actually get to the stage where we're laughing spontaneously and we're enjoying ourselves because we're having fun. That is the vibration that is needed to raise up the stubbornness of a pathology. And when I talk about pathology, I'm talking about disease process. So with introducing laughter yoga into palliative care, you know, I've been very passionate in supporting people do that, and laughter yoga therapists, you know, going into palliative care and helping people realize that, yes, you know, the disease process they've got at that moment in time is stubborn and needs help in curing itself or turning itself around. And as you raise the vibration of it, that's the curative effect. So when we're also looking at the next law, which is the law of purification, which goes slightly deeper into the energy field that surrounds us. It's much like a cloak or an egg shape of energy. And it's, you know, in its essence, it's pure and it's a huge light surrounding and protecting you. And this is one of the things that you learn in energetics, is that, you know, this is who we are, or the steam, as I was talking about earlier on. It's the steam that surrounds you. The water is encased inside you, and the ice is the physical body. So when you look at it and you see that vibration, obviously about purification, it's really important to keep that energy field as pure energy as you possibly can. And, you know, unresolved issues are lodged in the energy field, like, you know, dirty marks or wisps of stuck energy, or there could be different things. You know, your energy field again could be slightly darker than it could be, and there is negative emotions that are moving around the energy field, keeping you stuck in unresolved issues and unresolved thought patterns. So it's really important to do or understand energetic purification. And one of the quickest ways of helping your energy field get clear is actually putting a couple of handfuls of just ordinary salt in your bath. Because if you think back to when you've been to the coast and how more vital you feel in the salt air, or if you've taken a salt bath, you realise actually this actually helps to purify me, not just on a physical level, but on an energetic level also. So it's one of the quickest ways, and you know, you may say to me, well, I don't have a bath. And I'll say, that's okay. Just put a couple of handfuls of salt on the top of your head before you have a shower. And it has a similar effect. And as you do that, what you'll find, and over time, is you start to feel cleaner energetically. And this is all about moving through different aspects that you feel you may have picked up during the day. I know when I worked as an intensive care sister, and I would walk into a hospital, and by the end of a day, I would feel grimy. And I'm not talking about physically grimy. I just felt that I had picked up so much low vibrational energy that I would go home, and one of the first things I would do is have a hot salt bath or a hot salt shower, just to clean off all of the low vibrational energy of dis-ease. And of course it wasn't my dis-ease, it was everybody that I was dealing with during the day, because I worked in an intensive care unit. So it's really important to realise that some of the energy that you pick up during the day, which may lead you to doing behaviour that you wouldn't normally do, maybe eating really stodgy food or loads of chocolate, or going for the beer or the alcohol because you feel that you deserve it and you want a pick-me-up. You may not have chosen to do that unless you felt the grime and you felt the need to numb yourself out. And this is the problem that people have when they work in those type of environments, is that if they're not energetically cleansing themselves, they will take on other people's hurts and anger and feel murky and all sorts of different stuff. And it's not them. It's actually who they've been working with, maybe during the day, or, as I said, it may be patients, it may be clients, it may be somebody that you just see in the office where you work, and they immediately tell you all about the problems they're having in their life. And if you're with somebody and you leave them and you think you feel relief at leaving them and not having to listen to their problems anymore, then you know that you need to do some cleansing or purification around self, because you've picked up their energy. And one of the things, I'm a Reiki teacher and a Reiki master. And one of the things that you learn very early on as you're doing more energetic work is to realize that, when someone sees a clean space, they're going to offload their shit. And it's really important to make sure that, as you step up in taking responsibility for self, that you automatically don't blame anybody else about it, but you just take care of your own needs. And it's really important that, if you wish to step up on a spiritual path, it's imperative that you learn how to purify your own aura and your own energy field so that it's clear and fragrant and light and radiates with beautiful colours. And, as such, similar high vibrational people will be attracted to you if you do that. You'll naturally not attract negative people. So, the steps of purification is watch the thoughts and the words that you use. Always act with integrity. Keep company with pure people. Write down and burn things like that you feel guilty about or hurt or angry. Learn to forgive yourself and everybody else for everything. Physically comb through your aura with, salt. Ask for protection. Ask for people to be around you who will help you, Again, keep your home tidy and your personal space clear. Open the windows and let in some pure energy, Watch less TV. Pull out the electrical plugs when they're not in use. Plants are great, especially ferns or spider plants, which transmute heavy psychic energy. Fill your home with spiritual books, pictures, colours. Sing or chant sacred music. You can cleanse each room with a joss stick or, meditate at night. You can put little pots of salt in every single room. And the way you do that and the way that you can actually know that it's done its job is when it gets a slight crust on the top of the salt. That's when it needs to be changed. So you just tip out the small pot and get rid of it.
A conscious lifestyle for a mindful life. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM. Being a radio host on IOM FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. OMTimes Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single OMTimes endeavor. Host your show with OMTimes Radio Network.
Hello, I'm Sandy Sedgbeer, host of OMTimes Magazine's flagship radio show, What is Going On? My passion is sifting through information, research, and innovations from new thought teachers, speakers, and researchers pushing back the boundaries of what we know about life, energy, metaphysics, and the universe. I love shifting perceptions about who we are, why we're here, and how quickly impossible becomes normal when we open our minds, expand our awareness, and accept that the only limits that exist are those we place upon ourselves. So if you're the kind of forward-thinking, eager investigator of what lies beyond the current reality that most perceive, why not make a date to come play with me in the field of possibilities at 4 p.m. Pacific Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Time every Thursday, and together we can discover what's really going on.
We are talking about your life. Ever wonder, is this as good as it gets? No, it could be so much better. At Acorn to Oak, we know you are seeking more happiness, joy, unconditional love, financial freedom, passion, and purpose. Find your unique mojo and live an extraordinary life. Want to know more? Contact us at our website, acorntooak.org.uk.
Long ago, you wouldn't think of galloping on a horse while doing calligraphy, and you wouldn't have attempted to ride your bike while typing a letter. Yet you think you can safely operate a multi-ton vehicle while texting? Behind the wheel is no place to multitask. If you want to BRB, drive now and text later. Lives depend on it.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org, a message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, Noise, and the Ad Council.
So I'm back. The next law that I wanted to cover or just chat about for a little while is the law of perception. And, it's one of the things when we're on the earth plane is we get stuck into thinking that time is absolute, but it's not. Time is linear. And your mental state changes the perception of it. If you're unhappy or bored, it feels like time slows down. And if you're afraid, it stands still. When you're happy and excited, time seems to fly and go really, really quickly. Like if I drive somewhere that I don't know, like I did today, it seems to take much longer than when I'm en route and I'm relaxed. The lower frequency and the lower our perception of time, people engage in high vibrational activities find that time moves really quickly. I'm told that time speeds up on the planet by 1/3 as a result, which is, when you look at it, is just incredibly wild. Time can be transcended. People with certain different psychic abilities can tune into past lives or into future lives. All sorts of different things happen. And it's really important for us to realise that it is just about perception. Size also depends on perception. When we're children, the houses that we live in seem bigger than they do when we're an adult. Most people have experiences of going back into childhood and finding that actually everything is a lot smaller than they expected. A mountain to a novice climber appears really big, bigger than it is when they're experienced. And it's really quite important to realise that perception is just our frame of reference at that moment in time. And, you can handle challenges differently according to the level of your consciousness. For example, you're driving carefully when a young terror ray drives too fast and cuts in front of you, scrapes your car. How do you respond? It's really important to realise that, again, these things are temporary, but it's looking at how we're going to respond and what our perception is. If we're over full of anger ourselves, we may take action and chase them down the road or whatever it is. Pull them out of the car and punch them. Or it may well be that we just, because we have no anger stored at that moment in time, we may just shrug and go, I hope they are more careful and they don't get themselves into an accident. So again, perception is really important. And it's looking at what is healthy and what is not healthy to you at that time. one of the things one of the laws that I've found really helpful in my life is learning about the law of gratitude and what gratitude means. And, gratitude means giving thanks from your heart. And when you do this, energy flows from your heart and activates different responses from other people as well as the universe. If you pay lip service to gratitude, you're not going to find that it's the WD-40 or the grease that greases the wheel so it moves smoothly. But when you do it sincerely and it comes from a place of true thankfulness, and then your words and your thoughts are drawn to the same response, what you actually find is it is the law of gratitude and the law of miracles, for me, walk hand in hand. It's really important to realize that if you are grateful, sincerely grateful for what you have, you are going to attract more of it. But if you're doing it just paying it lip service, then you're not going to get the miracles and you're not going to attract anything else. So if you're positive and appreciative, if you count your blessings, be more joyful, when you glow with happiness and appreciation of what you have. Remember the good things about a person rather than the things that you don't like. Focus on the good in every situation and every person. Give praise generously. Use the words thank you genuinely. Be loving and kind and recognize your own magnificence. Celebrate life and be happy. Count your blessings and watch them multiply. And in talking about that moves us on very easily and quickly into the law of blessings. Because when you bless somebody, you are invoking divine energy to touch them. When this is done with a genuine intent, a shaft of divine light is transferred into you as a blessing. Okay? So, in some religions, the priest will place their hand on the head of a person and then bless them. They're activating the crown center or the crown chakra, and they're putting light directly into them. It's such a powerful and personal thing to do, and in many cultures, it is considered bad manners to touch someone's crown center. Raising your hand in the direction of the person you're wishing a blessing to directs the blessing towards them. And when we look at this, and when we're looking at the law of karma, I mean, we shouldn't necessarily do things ungenuinely because they will not be counted. But, in Eastern cultures, this type of blessing is called a darshan. And there are avatars living on this planet right here, right now, where you can go and receive darshan from them. Mother Mira is one of them in Germany. Amma is one of the avatars who does darshan, and she's an Indian lady. There's also, Sai Baba, who was in Bangalore, who would give darshan. And there are avatars on this planet who are constantly giving darshan to mere mortals like myself. And when you actually realize that the cosmic energy that is flowing through them, and the blessing is helping people to negate karma and bad behaviors, Excuse me, I'm just about to sneeze. Sorry. So I'll give a blessing to myself. It's very, very important to realise that these different avatars on the planet are doing such an amazing job in helping to shift the consciousness and the consciousness of blessing. But, one of the things I would say to somebody if I was with somebody and I'm saying goodbye, I would naturally say, God bless. So it's a case of realizing that you can raise your own vibration and your own frequency by, one, blessing someone who's just sneezed like I have, blessing your food, blessing the work that you do so it will increase and be filled with joy, bless people around you so that they will be happy and fulfilled, bless your plants so they will grow abundantly, bless your home so it will be a place of peace, bless your body so it will become a beautiful temple for your spirit. It's really important, these are just some examples of how you can use the law of blessing in your life. You can also request for blessings to be sent around the world to children to protect them and guide them, and especially on an evening like tonight where they're all out trick-or-treating, hoping that actually they'll get treats rather than feel that they have to trick somebody into giving them candy. But it's really important to look at these things and realise that the only thing that limits us is ourselves. The only thing that limits our life is ourselves. And therefore, if you can look at the bigger picture and you can actually expand your consciousness and your perception, life is a game. And once you learn to play within the ground rules, you can absolutely excel at life. So the next law that I'd like to cover, and I'm just trying to get this done so that we get this done in the next 5 minutes, is the law of decree. And when I look at the law of decree, I love this law. I think it's really, really important. So if you imagine a ladder that extends sections leaning against a skyscraper, and then you climb the lower extensions and you can see the ground, and while the roof seems a long way away, you're actually a lot further up than you think. And the law of decree is when we recognize that we are spiritual beings first, driven, and material things are the most less important things. So when we look at the law of decree, when we actually decree something, we command the universe to obey our orders. So, it's like if a deckhand commands a ship without sufficient clarity and wisdom, clarity may ensue. But when we decree with preparation, we are not only ready for the results, but obviously the decree is made with the greatest integrity for the highest will and good of all. Making it with humility, knowing that you are in service to the planet, you can command with authority and with clarity. Stand with your head and shoulders back and say your decree aloud. So if you wanted to decree something, you would say, in the name of God, under grace, I decree that, and so be it. repeat it 3 times, and you've made your decree. But be careful what you decree. Okay? It's really important, maybe if I give you an example of some decrees. Yeah, and this is one of them. By decree in the name of God, under grace, I invoke the violet flame to transmute now every negative thought pattern, belief, condition, attachment, or alliance that I have ever made. It is done. And repeat it 3 times. And that, if you do that, it is most incredible how things will rearrange themselves in your life, so you will either find someone who is a fantastic guide, or somebody who can help you with a physical problem, or it may be a teacher becomes a parent and you work with them in order to move through anything that you need to move through so that you will become whole. So the law of faith is such a high frequency that it transcends all the lower laws and makes the impossible possible. So we're coming up to the end of the show. Maybe next time we can just cover the last 2, which is the law of grace and the law of one. I hope you have a good show. It's a pity that we missed Matthew, but we'll see you next week, and you take care. Bye-bye. See you next week.